All right, looks like we got some people already filling in here. Martin, what's happening, buddy? Glad you could be here. If you could please get me an audio check, give me a visual check. How is the feed? How's the sound? Is my mic clear? Is my mic loud? Are we good? Let me get some feedback here. All right, fantastic. Good. Thank you, Martin. Much appreciated. All right, so we've got 5 in here. Let's get some likes up in here. If you guys could do me a favor, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. The more thumbs up we get, the more likes we get, the more people get notified of the live stream. Thank you, Martin. Appreciate it. Glad the video is good and the sound is good. Am I coming in clear or is it coming in choppy? Hopefully we're feeding okay. Tito, what's up, buddy? Glad you could be here. Thank you for stopping by. See who else we got in the house. As you guys are coming in, say your formal hellos and go ahead and give the video a like, a thumbs up. Get this thing out there. Share it if you got to. Let's get some people up in here for the live stream. So I got a bit of a different setup this week. So what I got going on is I'm using my laptop actually instead of using my usual setup. So using an external mic, I'm using the laptop. Hopefully things are better and improved. Sound quality should be good. Video feed should be straight. You guys let me know how it sounds and how it looks. If this works out, then we'll just continue to go with this setup for the near future and moving forward. As you guys are filtering in, go ahead and hit the like button, share. Let's get some people up here in the live chat. Today's podcast, it is October 26, 2018. SMT Mobile Tech Live Stream podcast. So glad you guys can make it. Christian, glad you could be here. Thank you for stopping by. Darian, thank you for stopping by. Glad you could make it. Much appreciated. Tito and Martin, glad you could be here as well. Some of the first ones to file into the live chat. So thank you all for stopping by. We've already got 6 people in here. That's good. We've got some topics to cover today. Got some carrier news. We've got some information from Verizon. There is some info from AT&T, some updates and news there. We are going to cover a little bit from their third quarter earnings for 2018. Got some deals for you guys. AT&T, some 5G news. It's fast approaching. OnePlus 6T news. Some Samsung news. And actually, that's the big one I wanted to get to. So we'll get to that for sure. I'm very excited about that. So yeah, we'll get to those things. And of course, anything you guys want to cover, just go ahead and drop a line there in the live chat and we'll cover it and we'll have our discussion. So again, thank you all for stopping by. Glad you guys could be here and join us. Anything you guys want to cover, just go ahead and drop it in there. I do like the live chats a little bit structured. So I'll go ahead and I'll start with some news and then I'll kind of take a look at what you guys are talking about in the live chat to see what your thoughts and opinions are on those things. And then I'll kind of give my take on it and I'll get your feedback and we'll kind of go back and forth with that. So we've got a handful of topics to address. It looks like we've already got about 7 people here in the live chat. So glad you guys could be here. Steve Sanchez, hey buddy, glad you could be here. Thank you for stopping by. Cameron, glad you could make it from Utah. Yeah. How's the weather out in Utah actually? I'm guessing it's starting to get a little cooler out there, especially at elevation. All right, we got 7 people in here. As you guys are coming in, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and share if you could for me, please. Let's get as many people in here as possible. It is a Friday. This is the SMT Mobile Tech YouTube live stream podcast. So let's go ahead and get into the topics, and you guys can just chime in whenever you feel like it. And when I kind of wrap up with something, I'll just go ahead into the live chat and see what you guys have to say. All right, so the first thing that we have, a little bit of a summary of what we got from Verizon this week. Verizon actually went ahead and did their third quarter earnings report for 2018, and things are looking pretty good for the big red carrier. We got 515,000 postpaid ads for Verizon. 295,000 of those were postpaid phone ads, which is good. That's what Verizon wanted to see. They got some positive growth there. They got some negative for their tablets, so they lost 80,000 there. But they did add 300,000 on the wearables. So I'm assuming that's mostly like Apple Watches and things like that. So the expectation was they were going to gain 161,000 subscribers, and they did much better actually. So they did quite a bit better, about 3 or 4 times better. So Verizon's pretty happy with that. Now, they have attributed this to iPhone sales, a lot of buy one, get one frees, a lot of the Google phones having that exclusive for the second generation Pixels. So they're pretty happy with that. And actually, the way that we know that Verizon outdid their expectations was shares actually rose up this week as soon as quarter 3 earnings came up. So they're actually at an 18-year high. Verizon's doing really, really well. So shares are up, stocks are up. The outlook for Verizon for quarter 4 looks really good because obviously they have their 5G up and rolling, and that's going to be moving towards more and more markets across the nation. So expectations for quarter 4 should be positive. We should see more of the same, more growth. Unfortunately, the one thing that is negative from the Verizon side for quarter 3 is the Oath side of the business, which for those of you that don't know, Oath is the side of Verizon that includes their AOL and Yahoo acquisitions. So that's doing really, really bad. Essentially, the Oath side is pretty much a failure. It's a pretty flat business. They, just aren't going to be able to do it. So from what I understand, their goal was to hit 10 billion in revenue, it was 10 billion in revenue by 2021. They're probably not going to hit that. It's not even close. So Verizon doing really well on the wireless side, not doing well on the Oath entertainment side. Verizon was also quoted. Their CEO says he still sees opportunity for wireless growth. And he says reducing the CapEx for the upcoming near future should help with trimming some of the fat, as they say. So what they're looking to do is Verizon is actually going to spend less and less money in quarter 4 and moving forward on the network. So it looks like they believe in their network. They're not going to be straying away from their plan, but they're going to reduce kind of their capital investment. So they're looking to save some money there. Now, the one thing that I did find that was interesting for Verizon, their quarterly churn rate was a little bit higher. So last quarter it was 0.94. This quarter it was 1.04. So obviously that's not the best case scenario for Verizon. They like their churn really low. They like to retain their customers. They don't want to lose customers, but they did lose a little bit. Nothing too crazy. 1.04 is nothing alarming, but it does show that they did lose some customers. And it may just be, to simple promotions with other companies and stuff like that. So, whatever the case may be, I'm expecting Verizon to bounce back in quarter 4. You've got new iPhones coming out, everything from the iPhone XR, which just got released this week. Pre-orders, I think, are starting to ship as early as the next couple of days. We have the iPhone XS, the XS Max. We have the Google phones are now out. So there are devices that people might want to buy and upgrade and go with Verizon for them. So, I'm expecting a bounce back quarter for them for quarter 4. Keep in mind that 5G obviously is being deployed around the nation. We already have a handful of markets with it. It should continue to grow and hit more markets in the coming months and then moving forward to 2019. Speaking of Verizon and 5G, 5G City was added for Verizon. They have added Panama City, which for those of you who have been following Hurricane Michael, in terms of the territory that it's hit, this is a city that was included there. So maybe they're trying to get into the good graces of the FCC and expanding in Hurricane Michael territory where they had to rebuild and, do repairs to the infrastructure for the network, including fiber, different cables and hardwares and things like that. So now that we know that there's an additional market there, we can add Panama City to Los Angeles, Houston, Indianapolis, and Sacramento. So go ahead and put Panama City, Florida in there as well. So some people have popped back in. We've got Jamal. Thank you for stopping by. Glad you could be here. Steve says lots of Pixel 3 issues. What are your thoughts? Delaney, glad you could be here. Thanks for stopping by and saying hello. In terms of the Pixel issues, I do want to talk about the Pixel a little bit. I know there's been a lot going on there. I think what I'll do is I'll get to that. Let me get through some of these topics. So if you can hold off on that, Steve, don't let me forget. Just bring it back up as soon as I kind of open up the forum to everybody. So now that I've covered the Verizon side, let me go ahead and move over to AT&T. So some topics here. AT&T has officially announced they are just a few weeks away from deploying their 5G network. they say it's pretty much all ready, and it's just a matter of time here in the next few weeks. When they say a few weeks, I'm guessing they are saying basically November. So that could be like mid to late November, but we should be seeing it very, very soon. Now, the 12 cities that will be receiving AT&T's 5G network availability, we're expecting Raleigh, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, Houston, Texas, New Orleans, Louisiana, Oklahoma City, Dallas, and Waco, Texas. Those are all the 2018 sites and markets that will be receiving it. We also know that in 2019, some additional cities, we have Las Vegas, Nevada, Los Angeles, California, San Francisco, California, and Orlando, Florida, all included in the 2019 rollout. So unlike Verizon, which is completely proprietary and unique in terms of non-standards based, this will be a true standards-based 5G network. So a little bit different than what Verizon did. I think what Verizon wanted to do was just get the network up and running, get those things out there, start troubleshooting, do some trial. It's almost kind of like they're beta testing 5G. This is going to be true upgradable standards-based 5G. So a lot of people should be very excited about this. I'm not sure what they're going to charge for pricing. We do know the cost for Verizon for their 5G plans. We don't know much about the AT&T side, what they're going to do. I'm guessing it's going to be something similar to Verizon. So whatever their price point is, it should be similar to that, within the same ballpark figure. The only thing that's kind of notable here is there are no devices that are actually 5G compatible. So what AT&T is doing is, they've had to kind of work around this. So nobody has any device that is 5G compatible. The processors that we have in our devices aren't compatible. They don't have the modules. They don't have the antennas that are compatible with the spectrum. So what AT&T is doing essentially is they're going to be transmitting a 5G signal to a puck, basically some type of a transformation, some type of a conversion happens there with this hardware. And in this puck, it's going to transmit a Wi-Fi signal that is going to be basically gigabit LTE. So it's going to transmit the signal. It should be really, really fast. We're expecting, 1 full gig of speed. And that's kind of the expectation. So we're not sure what they're going to be charging for hardware. We're not sure what they're going to be charging for the puck. We're not sure what they're charging for the plan. But we do know they're obviously going to charge, and it could be a premium, especially with it being so early onset with the market. So it should be fast. It should be good. I'm expecting the latency to be very low. I'm expecting the speeds to be very high. We'll just have to wait and see what it's like. Hopefully it's dependable. Hopefully people like it. And knowing AT&T, I'm sure they're going to charge a premium, but we'll have to wait and see. I guess we'll stay with AT&T. We'll talk about their Q3 earnings. So in terms of the TV side for AT&T, looks like that's pretty down. Not looking good there. The wireless is definitely down. There's some digital growth overall in terms of the company. AT&T is a huge company. They've got a lot going on, so they are making money, but things aren't looking rosy on all aspects of the business. So the DirecTV and Uverse side has lost 340,000 subscribers. The DirecTV Now has added 50,000 subscribers, so they're up to, I believe, 2 million subs for DirecTV Now. To give you guys kind of like a comparison, DirecTV Now added 50K in Q3. Netflix added 650K. So to show you there's a clear distinction where the people are spending their money and which services they're actually using. So, AT&T is doing okay with the DirecTV Now, but they're losing a lot with the Uverse and the DirecTV. So people are going with cord cutting as an option. The streaming services really seem to be something that people are liking. So if AT&T was smart, I think they would focus more on retaining the business on the DirecTV Now side until they could figure something out with Uverse and DirecTV. Now, in terms of when the Q3 earnings for AT&T were revealed, I believe that stocks in terms of shares for AT&T, they went from, I think they were expected to be 96 cents per share. They actually dropped to 90 cents per share. So it is clear that the pulse of the people in terms of spending and obviously ownership and shares and so on, it's down a little bit. They're not really happy with what they're seeing. So that's kind of unfortunate. AT&T suffering on the business side there. They are, from what I understand, down about $1 billion in revenue from the expected. So and all this is important because it affects their businesses, all aspects of their business moving forward. So from the wireless side, AT&T posted 69,000 ads, which obviously isn't great, but it's a positive addition. So um, I think the expectation actually, some market experts were saying they were going to lose 22,000 subscribers. So, minus 22K when they actually got plus 69K. I mean, that's a win if you ask me. So it's good to see that for AT&T. From the prepaid side, they didn't do too great. I guess they had some ads, but most of their prepaid side they're benefiting is from Cricket. So I think people have to keep in mind that if it wasn't for Cricket, where would AT&T be from the prepaid side? It really is kind of like a saving grace there. So, I think about AT&T and what they do from the business side. Um, they do well. I just think like they should be doing more promotions, more of an attractive business model for people to look their way when they consider their services. I just haven't really seen them be too competitive. I don't see the promos. I don't see the attention in the advertising. They're not doing much to try to take business from Verizon or from T-Mobile or from Sprint. Just hasn't been their MO for a long time. So uh, that's kind of what's going on there. Now, currently, AT&T's focus is primarily in terms of the wireless side is the FirstNet first responder network. So, that's moving along pretty nicely. From what I understand, they're about 6 months ahead of schedule. So the network is deploying at a very accelerated pace. So everything looks good there. Um, in terms of everything from AT&T, that's probably what we have there. T-Mobile Q3, we're not expecting those earnings until October 30th. So we should be getting an earnings call on that date. I'll be sure to report that here. I'll probably do a video specifically on that. It's smack dab in the middle of the week, so I'll probably do something there for that. But in terms of earnings for T-Mobile, we are expecting good things. Verizon had some good things going on. AT&T not so much. But T-Mobile has been the king of growth for the last 18 or 19 quarters. We're expecting more of the same. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. So be on the lookout for a video sometime early next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday. So I'll let you guys know what goes on with T-Mobile on that side. Let's see here. We'll stay with AT&T actually. This one's quick little blurt here. AT&T has filed a formal request to do some testing through the FCC for 3.5 gigahertz band testing. What they are requesting is a 6-month window to test some experimental equipment through the time period of December 18th to June 19th. So looks like they want to test some new spectrum in the 3.5 gigahertz band, which would put it as 5G spectrum. So this would be for future purposes to deploy with the 5G network. So that's going on there with AT&T. And actually, the last thing I wanted to leave you guys with AT&T, the 5G puck that I was talking about, which AT&T is going to utilize to kind of transmit the 5G signal to all the devices that are not 5G compatible. Obviously, we have a lot of legacy hardware, all of our smartphones, all of our routers and all of that. They're not 5G compatible. They don't have the hardware to do it. They don't have the processors. They don't have the modules, the antennas. So what AT&T is going to have to do is transmit the signal from their hardware to a puck. And the puck is going to be utilized to transmit the signal to our devices. So from what I understand, the puck is branded by Netgear. They're going to be providing this hardware. It is going to be compatible with millimeter wave spectrum. It is standards-based spectrum. So this means that this puck is a legitimate, Qualcomm-made Snapdragon X50 chip device. So it is going to receive and transmit the signal. It is going to be compatible to the Netgear Nighthawk 5G mobile hotspot, which is really nice. So those will be coming out to be compatible with the deployment of the 5G services for AT&T. So this testing for this device was completed in Waco, Texas, which is one of the 5G cities that we're going to be receiving AT&T 5G here in 2018. So that's pretty much it from the AT&T side. I'm not sure if you guys have any thoughts or opinions on the earnings from AT&T or some of these 5G news in terms of the city. It's good stuff. Obviously, the 5G development is important. We want to see more and more networks ready and raring to go here in 2018 and 19. Their quarter wasn't too great, but it hasn't been their focus, and they're losing money on the TV side. So we'll have to see what Q4 brings. Maybe they'll be more competitive. Maybe the iPhones and all this other stuff might help their business. So That's it from the AT&T side, actually. Um, Moving on to some interesting news. I usually don't talk too much about devices here on the channel, but this is kind of a big announcement, actually. For those of you familiar with the OnePlus company, they made the OnePlus 1, 2, 3, 3T. They skipped 4, then they had the OnePlus 5, OnePlus 5T, and then the OnePlus 6, which just came out, I don't know, like 5 or 6 months ago. Anyways, the OnePlus 6T is expected to be coming out. This device, as with all OnePluses, have always been pretty much GSM only. They have never been compatible with any CDMA networks. They've never actually been compatible with Verizon or Sprint for that matter. So they've pretty much been restricted to AT&T and T-Mobile for compatibility. So apparently it has officially received Verizon certification. It did actually go through Verizon testing labs. So it will be technically certified for usage on Verizon. Now, OnePlus does have a deal with T-Mobile for the upcoming OnePlus 6T. So while it is compatible with Verizon, there is going to be a carrier model of the OnePlus 6T that is going to be sold through T-Mobile, either online or in their stores. I'm expecting both. Now, the deal with T-Mobile is the first of its kind. No store in the U.S., I'm not sure if it's all of North America, but no carrier in the U.S. has ever carried a OnePlus 6T. And OnePlus 6 devices are really, really nice Androids. These are phones that have good cameras, very high-end specs. They're power-packed, good processors. They're a really, really good value. They're good devices. And they sell at a bargain deal compared to, Samsung Galaxies and Notes and iPhones. So if you don't want to spend $1,000, the best way to get a flagship type device is to get a OnePlus. And this will kind of get you that. The price point should be around $600. It's going to be compatible on Verizon. T-Mobile is going to sell it in their stores and online probably. I think this is really, really big news, actually. I don't expect Verizon to have the device in stores, but it is nice to see that Verizon is going to allow the activation of them through their carrier provisions. So if you have a pre-existing Verizon SIM, or if you go into a Verizon store and ask them to activate it, you shouldn't have any issues there with it, which is really, really nice. This is a really good device. So the OnePlus 6T we're expecting to launch October 29th. There's an event in New York City. I believe it's the day before the Apple event for the new iPads and some other things. I think there's some MacBooks and whatnot. So we are expecting it. I'm following this closely. You guys know how I feel about the new, Google Pixel devices, and I'm just not a big fan. And Samsung Galaxies are just too expensive for me. So I might be looking at a OnePlus 6T if I know that it's going to be compatible with Verizon LTE bands. So they've always been compatible with band 2 and 4. Now it's going to receive band 13 through Verizon, which is a really important band. It's a speed band. It's a capacity band. I pretty much like 60 to 70% of the time when I look at my connectivity through Verizon, it's connecting to band 13 or band 4. So it's really important it has that band, and now it does. So it should work great on Verizon. I'll definitely be somebody that's going to be looking into getting this device as long as it works with Verizon. So, and of course, if it's getting certified for Verizon, that looks good for next year when they drop a 5G device, right? This is big news. Carl Pei, the CEO of OnePlus, he says in a quote that they are confirming a 5G device next year, and they're expecting it early in 2019. So it's possible that this OnePlus device could be the first 5G phone, next year, in terms of mobile. So, and who's to say that we're going to have, excuse me, guys, true 5G networks ready to deploy for mobile, but we're going to have hardware that is going to have the ability to, utilize the tech. So I'm watching very closely. The Verizon compatibility gets me. The 5G compatibility gets me. I'm very intrigued by what OnePlus is doing. It's a very interesting company. They're very different. They're very unique. They've kind of snuck in the wireless game, but they haven't had mainstream success in North America. So if they do get authorization to certify their devices through Verizon, they're opening up their opportunities a lot, because Verizon's the biggest carrier in the U.S. They've got 145 million subs. If they were to get into Verizon stores, it would change the game completely. They would have, they would sell tons of devices if the phone was in the stores for people to go see and try. If they didn't want to buy a Google Pixel for $900 or $800, they could spend $600 on the OnePlus 6T and get a very comparable device. So now that we know what OnePlus is up to, we've got the 6T up and coming here shortly, about to be launched. And then we've got a 5G device coming in early 2019. And they said there's also going to be a second 5G device in late 2019. That probably could be the OnePlus 7. Who knows? So both of the devices that are going to be 5G compatible from OnePlus 6 are going to be Qualcomm Snapdragon SoCs in both of them. So they'll probably both have the X50 5G modem in their system on a chip. We don't know what other chip makers are doing. We don't know what Samsung is going to do with their Exynos chips. We don't know what MediaTek is doing. We don't know what Huawei is necessarily doing. I'm sure they'll have a 5G ready chip at some point next year. So who really knows what we'll get? But Verizon does have some 5G ready phones planned for 2019. It looks like we may have something from OnePlus. We're probably expecting something from Samsung. We're also expecting something from LG at some point in the first half of the year. And I think that one's going to be available through Sprint. So in 2019, it's estimated that 19 OEMs, LG, HTC, Motorola, Nokia, Oppo, Vivo, Xiaomi, Samsung, those are just some companies, are going to be dropping handsets in 2019 that are 5G compatible. And then in 2020, we're pretty much going to have all companies are going to be 5G ready. No mention of Apple, though, which is kind of interesting. For anybody that's followed Apple, a lot of Apple users aren't really savvy to this. The average consumer just doesn't pay attention to it. But Apple's always kind of been behind when it comes to connectivity. When Apple was still, kind of working with just 3G modems, a lot of Androids were already 4G and LTE compatible. So Apple's always kind of been behind. So we're not expecting any iPhones to be 5G compatible, probably not until 2021, because I don't see any mention on any resources, any sites, any leaks. There's nothing through 2020. So, 2020 is going to take us through like the iPhone 13 or 12S or whatever they're going to call it. So we'll have to wait and see. But if you want something 5G compatible, you're going to have to be on the Android side. That's just the way it's going to work. So that's pretty much all the 5G news we have, with the exception of one more thing. All right, so this last thing is coming out of Samsung, and this is the big news for today. The Samsung Galaxy S10, obviously it's going to drop at some point in Q1 of 2019. So it's going to be in the spring of next year, late winter, early spring. We're expecting it in March. They might bump it up to February. Who knows? We'll wait and see. But 2019 is going to be a huge year for Galaxies. Obviously, there's going to be the Samsung Galaxy S10. There's definitely going to be a Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. But we're hearing from several different sources there is going to be a very specialized Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus model, and it's going to be 5G compatible. Now, some of the things that we're expecting from the Samsung Galaxy S10, we're expecting bezels to shrink. So the infinity display is obviously going to get better. The bezels will get super tiny, top and bottom. It's going to have curved edges. Very nice display, I'm sure. It's supposed to have an in-display fingerprint scanner, which will be the first of its kind in a mainstream produced device. So that'll be interesting to see that. We're expecting dual selfie cameras. I believe the S10 Plus should come in at about 6.44 inch on the display size. The regular S10 at 5.8 inch. There is supposed to be an entry-level model. So for those of you following that, if you think about the iPhone XS and the XS Max, those devices are coming in at $1,000, $1,100, and then the storage takes it up another $100 or whatever else. And the iPhone XR kind of serves as like, like a budget or whatever, a budget device. But the problem with having a budget device is it suffers from you cutting corners. So those devices are usually going to be a little bit lower on the performing end. So if you think about something like the iPhone XR, for example, it doesn't have the dual camera setup on the back. It doesn't have the OLED panel. It uses LCD. It's not completely bezel-less. It's got like the bezels on the sides and the bottom. It's just simply not as good as the others. Samsung's going to be doing the same thing. They're going to have an entry-level S10. It's probably going to come somewhere in between like the $650 to $799 range. And then, their higher level models will probably come in at $899, $999, or even more. So we'll have to wait and see what we get, but we're kind of expecting they're pretty much following Apple's footsteps. And we've always applauded Samsung for being different than Apple. And here's a case where they continue to follow them, with this whole pricing scheme and naming scheme and having devices in different tiers. But we'll have to see for sure. We don't know, but those are what rumors are suggesting. Now, we are expecting the higher end S10 Plus device. They've kind of indicated that there's going to be a specialty version of this. It's going to be obviously very, very fast. It's going to be 5G compatible. We're hearing it's going to have 3 cameras on the back, 2 cameras on the front. But this unique S10 Plus version is going to be 5G compatible, and we're expecting it late Q1 2019. And we're also hearing that it's going to have 12 gigs of RAM, which is absolutely absurd. I don't even own a computer that has 12 gigs of RAM, so let alone a smartphone. Now, we're hearing that this is going to be a Verizon exclusive. That would make sense because Verizon seems to be one of the actual carriers that is 5G ready. So, why have a 5G ready device that doesn't work on, a compatible network? So if Verizon does indeed get exclusivity to this specialty S10 Plus model, they're going to be able to take advantage of this technology because their network is ready. And they're going to sell this device for a very, very expensive price tag. Let's say that the entry-level S10 comes in at, $750. And then the S10 Plus comes in at $899. Well, then we can expect the 5G compatible model with 12 gigs of RAM and the 5 cameras. We're probably going to expect that to be well over $1,000. I would say probably pushing towards iPhone XS Max territory, maybe $1299, even $1399. So, that's kind of what we're expecting there. A lot of the prominent leaksters that are dependable and have really good track records are suggesting all of these things. And when those people start to chirp these things, they're usually correct. And they've been right about Apple all these years. They've been right about Samsung. They've been right about LG, Motorola. They're not usually wrong. They don't come out and jeopardize their reliability unless they are really sure. So whatever information they have, I'm sure their sources are leading them the right way. So that's pretty much everything there. And the last thing I'll leave you guys with are some deals. For those of you out there looking to buy a device, this is the season to buy. So there are some really good deals out there. First one is coming out of Verizon. If you are interested in a buy one, get one on the Google Pixel 3, to buy one, get one free through Verizon, the Google Pixel 3 comes in at $799. The 3XL comes in at $929. It is $899 through Google, so it is a little bit cheaper that way. But essentially what Verizon will do is they'll give you a credit of $799 over 24 installments for the free device. So that's there if you're interested in the 3rd generation Pixels. Samsung is doing a double trade-in credit towards the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. So instead of the standard $300 trade-in, they're doing up to $600 on the eligible trade-in. Now, the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 is normally $999. I believe Verizon's selling it for $899 right now. So if you're looking for just one on a deal, that's, I guess, a little bit better. Now, if you want to get the $600 trade-in through Samsung, it's got to be an S9 or S9 Plus. I believe iPhone 8 Plus and iPhone 10 all qualify for the $600 trade-in. So that's there if you're interested in that. And the last thing I came across was the Moto X4, which normally sells on the Moto site for $399, is on sale for $299. This is the Android One variant. If you don't mind the Amazon variant, that's on sale for $249 through Amazon. So all those deals, as well as all the news we covered, that's pretty much everything for the episode that I wanted to cover. If there's anything you guys want to ask or talk about here, I'm going to go ahead and get into the live chat and see what you guys got going on there. So, Steve, I didn't forget about you. Let's talk Pixel 3 issues. Now, from what I understand, Pixel 3's got a few things going on. The first thing I'm hearing is the RAM management is really, really bad. I don't understand how the RAM management is so poor. I think it's actually an Android Pie issue, but they are saying that it could be a hardware issue. The reason I say it's not a hardware issue and I say it's software is because It's the type of thing like when you hear about apps force closing and, apps that are just getting cut short and then you got to reopen them, relaunch them. Those are the types of things that can get fixed with an over-the-air software update. So that's like not really a big concern. So if the Pixel 3 is having RAM management issues, we might see a fix over the air on a software update, some point in November. So that's not really a big deal. That doesn't, it's not going to deter people from buying it probably. I think one of the bigger issues is the back of the phone with that glass back, how it's got that frosted black cover. That's probably more of a concern because I understand that it scratches really easy and then it looks horrible and awful. So that's kind of obviously an issue. I'm hearing battery life is subpar with these. I think the RAM management might have something to do with that. So hold off on that. I've also heard of people having issues with Google Photos. So when people are taking the photos and then Google does this crazy HDR, processing of the photos, which makes it really, really nice. Apparently, if you leave the app too fast, it'll lose the photo that you just took. So I think it's important that, people understand these are issues that can be fixed through software. But if there's hardware issues, that's more of a concern. So like I said, with the back of it, that's probably a bigger concern. Mo, what's up, buddy? Glad you could stop by, man. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Not much is up. We're talking Google Pixels right now, the new phones. Keep in mind, though, these phones, these Google Pixel 3 and 3 XL, they're coming in at $799 and $899. That's a really, really expensive price. Now, when the iPhones, and I got to be straight up with this, when the iPhone XS and XS Max were having these charging issues, I dogged Apple, right? So I have to do the same for the Pixel phones. I have to dog them because you can't sell a phone for $800, $900, and it has so many problems coming out the box brand new. I said the same thing about Apple and their expensive devices and all the problems they had. So I'm going to do the same thing for Google. I'm going to dog Google for the same issues. You have problematic phones that are brand new that you're selling for almost $1,000. You got to do better than that. There's got to be better quality control, and these issues should have been addressed a long time ago, several months ago. So that's just unfortunate. There's people out there who probably spent the full amount, $800, $900. If you upgrade your storage, you're pushing $1,000, and they're just not good, And let's be mindful that the Samsung Galaxy phones, they've got like 6 gigs of RAM. That's 6 gigs of RAM is like standard in Android, currently. So the fact that the Google Pixel 3 and the Google Pixel 3 XL only has 4 gigs of RAM, that's outdated, probably not enough to future-proof the phone. It probably should have came with 6 gigs of RAM, and I would bet that it probably wouldn't be having these issues with RAM management if it had 2 extra gigs of RAM. So I'm really, really upset to know that Google shortchanged their customers and only put in 4 gigs of RAM. If this phone was selling for $600, then I'd say fine, 4 gigs of RAM will do. But we're talking flagship pricing here. We're talking $800 to start and $900 for the larger device. So unfortunately, I think Google really dropped the ball with this. I think the Google Pixel 3 is too problematic for them to be charging these prices. Too many deficiencies. Hopefully they can sort through these issues and people can enjoy their devices. I get the cameras are awesome, but at $900 for these phones, it's just too much money to pay for a very average design, an ugly notch if you get the XL. It's just not going to cut it. 4 gigs of RAM. I don't know. It's not good enough. And I love, that version of Android. I love the Pixel software, but like, that's just too much money for what you're getting. It's not worth it. There's no value in it. I would definitely push people, if you want a stock Android experience, look towards like the Motorola brand devices. Look towards, OnePlus 6. The OnePlus 6D is coming out soon. These are the types of things I would encourage people. If you're going to spend $900, I'm going to push you towards the Note 9. I'm going to push you towards the S9 Plus. Those are premium devices that actually deserve the money based on their feature set, based on their design, based on their power. Simply said, I don't think that Google could charge what they charge for what you're getting in that package. I don't think it's cutting it. So that's just my 2 cents. That's my personal opinion on what Google's doing with their phones. So, and I guess you never know until you try it. You may like those phones, but at that price point, I just don't see the value and I don't think they're worth it. Lena, what are you doing? All right. So yeah, that's what I kind of had to, and like I said, I dogged the new iPhones. I thought they were too expensive. They weren't worth it. This is a situation where, again, the Google Pixel phones are almost as expensive, and they're just not worth it. I mean, if you get a good deal on one or something like that, if maybe buy one get one through Verizon, tickles your fancy, or you've got some crazy trade-in deal you could do with Google or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's worth it to you. But to me, I'm passing on the Google Pixel 3 and the Pixel 3 XL. My 2 cents, my opinions, but whatever. Oh, yeah, I'm sure you would love a new iPhone. Something tells me you would like, the iPhone XS Max. Yeah, you probably would. The XR ain't bad. It ain't full HD, but it ain't bad. I hear the battery life is really good on it. I hear the battery life on the iPhone XR is really, really good. I don't know if anybody has one yet. I know the XSs are all out. People are getting those. XS Maxes have been out. So I hear the battery life on the XS isn't that great. The Max is better. Obviously, it's a bigger phone. The XR is supposed to have great battery life. I don't know too much about it. Not much for reviews are out there just yet, but we'll see what happens with that device. Steve says Google is acting like Apple. Get less, pay more. Yeah, pretty much. But I will say this, Steve, if you buy a Pixel 3 or Pixel 3 XL, you will get the USB Type-C adapter dongle for the headphone jack. You will also get the rapid fast charger for the phone, which Apple doesn't give you either of them. You also get headphones, the USB-C headphones inside of the Google Pixel 3 and 3 XL box. So they give you everything you need. So you get this thingamajiggy, right, for the headphone jack adapter. Goes USB-C to the headphone, 3.5 millimeter. So you get that in the box with the Pixel 3. You get the fast charger. You get the USB-C headphones. So you do get more than, say, what Apple's giving you. But what you're getting with an iPhone is you're getting what you're expected, right? Like, you're going to be paying $1,000 for an iPhone XS. Like, Google's charging $1,000. Is that really precedented? Should they be charging $1,000? That's basically what it comes down to. Yeah, I get it, Steve. A lot of people are Apple guys, right? You've been with them. It's your ecosystem. You probably have a MacBook. You probably have an iPad. You probably like FaceTime. You like iMessage. Apple's got you in that sense, right? And they do take care of their customers when they have Apple Care, right? So they cover everything for you. They cover your repairs. They cover any software issues. They cover hardware issues. Any problems you have with your device, Apple has angles to keep you covered. And, all of in terms of their ecosystem, all the apps, all the specialized features that they have, it's all included in this big old Apple umbrella, and it keeps people in it. All right. So it's a strategy that's worked for them, and people have gotten used to their products and their services, and they just do a really good job with it. You know what I mean? Tito says, do you think the flagship phones like Apple or the Galaxy phones will ever go back down to their price? I seriously doubt. I feel from this point on that $1,000 or higher is going to be whatever brand you buy. You know what, Tito? You're probably right. I think the $1,000 phone has become commonplace. Google's selling their 3XL for $900. If you upgrade the storage, you're looking at $1,000. Their entry-level smaller device for the Pixel 3 is $800. So I guess if you're looking for a bargain, that's a little bit of a better price. The Samsung Galaxy S10 is probably going to come in at $700 to $800. The S10 Plus will come probably closer to $1,000, maybe $900, $950. The Note 9 is $1,000. So yeah, I think you're right. I think the $1,000 phone is standard now, which is crazy. I mean, when smartphones hit 600, I thought, wow, they're really going up. They were like just 500. So they went up, $50 here, $50 there. Before you know it, you're pushing 1,000, which is kind of where we're at now. From what I understand, like pretty much every phone maker makes a flagship, and they're all starting at like $800. So 800 is your entry point. 1,000 has become common. And, there are upper tier models like the iPhone XS Max that are going to be demanding $1,200 and $1,300 and $1,450 respectively if it has a certain storage option. So, the Note 9 with its highest end storage, just like the iPhone XS Max, you're coming in over $1,200, $1,300. So, yeah, sucks. But the phones are expensive. They're out of this world. Yeah, Steve, all that stuff in terms of the iPhone, like, you think about the premium cost of what you pay for, all that stuff comes with it. So you get Apple Care, you're covered. Hardware, software, any issues, cables, stuff like that, they take care of everything, but comes at a premium. And yeah, Steve, I agree with you in that 5G makes service more expensive. I'm not sure what 5G is going to do for devices. Maybe the first year or two of 5G smartphones, maybe the phones will see a slight jump in price, maybe 10%, maybe 15%. I'm sure some of the more expensive flagships like the Galaxies, say the Galaxy S10, that special edition, I think that one might come in at over $1,200 if it's 5G compatible. That might be enough of a reason for Samsung to sell it at that price, and people might pay for it. You never know. So yeah, I agree. In the beginning, for sure. Martin says, I'm an Android man, Samsung up until now. Yeah, I'll be looking. In terms of Androids. Samsung probably does make the best devices. They have the most powerful phones. They've got the best design. They've got the richest feature set. They are essentially, what Apple is, for iOS, in terms of their iPhones. That's Samsung is representative Android, when it comes to a premium experience. So yeah, I agree with you there. But the OnePlus 6T could be a game changer because it's going to work on Verizon. It's going to be compatible with the biggest carrier in the nation. I think that's a game changer. And it's a lot easier for people to straight up pay $600 for a flagship than for them to pay $1,000 or $1,100 or $1,200 for a phone. And the Galaxy Notes and the iPhone XSs and XS Maxes, they're over $1,000. So it's a lot easier to pay for a phone when it's $600 instead of over $1,000. Whew. Yeah, so that's what's going on with hardware. I don't know what else we got going on for the rest of the year in terms of phones. I think that's pretty much it. The Razer phone has come out. Not too many probably care about the Razer phone. It's more of a gaming phone. It's cool. It's got some nice features, but it's not really, any type of notable, release. Nobody really cares too much about it. It's more of a specialty device. Steve, thanks for stopping by. Glad you could be here, buddy. Peace. Talk to you later. So yeah, that's what we got going on right now. Pretty much with this season for Q4 of 2018, what we're expecting is we're going to be expecting buy one, get ones. We're going to be expecting, promotional deals on hardware for the expensive flagships. So from Verizon, from Sprint, from AT&T, from T-Mobile, we're going to be looking for iPhone deals. We're going to be looking for Apple Watches. We're going to be looking for Galaxy deals. Now is going to be a good time to buy a flagship if you're looking for a buy one get one free, or if you're looking for a trade-in where it gets you $300-400 off on your new phone. So if you're looking for a new phone, Black Friday is going to be a good time. The holiday season will be good. You should be able to save some money and get yourself a newer device. Get yourself something from 2018. If you're the type of person that's kind of in between upgrades and you're kind of saving your ducats for 2019, the Samsung Galaxy S10 is probably going to be huge. There's going to be a huge release for it, a big time launch. There's going to be, a handful of models. We're expecting about 3 or 4 different models of it. So that might be worth it to wait. Maybe, don't pull the trigger on the Pixels. Don't pull the trigger on the iPhones or the Galaxies for this year. Wait until the S10 and get yourself a 5G compatible phone. That'll be pretty much future proof for the next few years. Who knows what we'll see with pricing, but at least you'll be future proof, if it is 5G. We're also expecting Verizon to have a 5G modem mod for the Motorola Z3 phone. So if you're looking to spend somewhere between like $400 and $450, the Moto Z3 from Verizon will have a modem mod that will make it 5G compatible. Now, I don't know what that's going to do to battery life. I don't know what that's going to do to, the longevity of the device. I don't know how effective it's going to be. I don't know when 5G is coming mobile for Verizon. So we don't know these things. But if you were looking to spend around $400, the Moto Z3 with the Moto Mod coming out next year will get you 5G. So that's also an option if you're looking to upgrade in the near future. Things are pretty quiet here in the live chat. If anybody wants to mention or ask anything, go ahead and hit me there. Things are pretty quiet there. My expectation was to be on here for about an hour. So it is we're at about 52 minutes here on the live chat. So if there's anything you want to mention before I get going here, let's get it in. Otherwise, I think that's pretty much all the topics I wanted to get to. Now, in terms of future videos, obviously I've got to cover the T-Mobile earnings report for quarter 3, 2018. That'll be October 30th, I believe. So that's, I think, Tuesday. So I've got a video coming out then. As soon as that information becomes available, I'll get that out to you guys. So video coming there. We've already covered Verizon. We've already covered AT&T. Sprint's always behind a quarter, so we're going to be expecting their results probably not for a few weeks. So I'll keep you guys posted to that. Any other hardware things or smartphone releases, I'll keep you guys up to date on that. So make sure if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Sneed Mobile Tech. Obviously, I want you guys to give the Patreon, Sneed Mobile Tech Patreon page a look. So if you haven't done so already, check it out. Sometimes I put some videos up there for the entire public to enjoy. Otherwise, there are a lot of great exclusives that are specifically for my patrons there. So check that out. It's a really nice platform. I really enjoy using the Patreon there, and it's a really nice community. We've got polls. We've got comment threads. I post images on there and different things. It's kind of cool. It's a good interaction. I do like it. So if you're interested in that, check that out. I'll put a link in the description there. But all you got to do is go to the Patreon homepage and look up Sneed Mobile Tech, and I'll be on there. So that's pretty much it for this one. That's all I wanted to cover. I want to thank you all for stopping by, all the people that viewed the live stream. I want to thank all the people, Steve, Martin, the rest of you guys, Darian, everybody, anybody who commented. Thank you guys for popping in and dropping a comment or asking a question. Tito, thank you again. Much appreciated. Thank you guys, as always, for watching and commenting, subscribing, sharing my videos. Without you guys, you guys are the channel. So thank you all very much for your continued support. I think I'll leave it at that. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of the weekend. Video coming probably Monday or Tuesday. Cover the T-Mobile quarter 3 earnings report. That's it for me. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.